The night passed quickly. When I woke up, the sun was shining through the curtains into the room and it was very blinding. It was inappropriate for me to stay abed. Therefore, I rubbed my sore waist and sat up with difficulty. Unexpectedly, I found that I was clean all over and was wearing a black silk shirt. It was obviously for men, because it was an oversized one that could just cover my hips, and I would get my hips exposed if I moved a little. The shirt made everything more erotic. Did Adrian like this style? I suddenly felt embarrassed and my face was getting hotter. I opened the door barefoot and found that Adrian was having a meeting in the living room. He was sitting on the couch looking at his computer. He was slender and wore a white shirt with a slightly open collar, looking very formal. In order to avoid the harsh sunlight, he squinted slightly, which made him look a little indifferent. After sobering up, I was quite embarrassed to see him. Adrian slowly raised his head and stared at me. I looked away in a panic, not daring to look at him. "Come here." Before I could walk over, I heard someone's confused voice from the computer. "Are you asking me to come over, Mr. Chandler?" "Oh, I forgot that he was still in a meeting." I pinched the hem of the shirt and tried to get out of there immediately. However, Adrian replied calmly, "No, I just have a cat in my house and I was calling her." Suddenly no one in the meeting spoke. Adrian stared at me intently again. "I think that's all for today," he said. Adrian scrolled through his phone lazily, his emotions concealed. I sat across from him and had drunk 3 glasses of water. It took him a century to look up. Seeing his perfect face, I subconsciously took a deep breath. Whenever I looked at him, I would be impressed by his charm. Adrian stared at me thoughtfully and said, "Your little game is over." I knew he was referring to the one-night stand. He was right. It was already morning. He tapped his slender fingers rhythmically on the desk. The sound made me nervous. I bit my lip and made a crazy decision. "Do you want to try another game?" Adrian leaned closer to me and asked curiously, "What is it?" Honestly, I felt ashamed to say it. I lowered my head like a puppy, hesitating whether I should do this. And after a few seconds, I made up my mind. "I want to be your mistress, and we can keep it a secret forever." Although Adrian smiled after hearing this, I was somehow afraid of him. If it wasn't for my revenge on Ethan who got me banned from the showbiz, I would never have come to mess with Adrian. After drinking a glass of water, Adrian narrowed his eyes and asked, "Why are you doing this?" I couldn't tell him the truth. After all, he was Ethan's uncle, and it was impossible for him to go against his nephew for merely a stranger. What excuse should I make to get him to protect me willingly? Before I came up with an idea, I said subconsciously, "Because I have a crush on you." Damn, we'd only known each other for 1 day. I must have been crazy making up such an awful excuse. Adrian was stunned. He looked quite surprised. Then he frowned and asked, "What did you say?" I slowly threw myself into his arms like a bunny and said with an innocent look, "I have a crush on you, and I just want to get closer to you." I was an actress. Actresses were best at acting. Besides, I couldn't think of any other excuses. I hugged Adrian so tightly that he had to sit there motionless like a statue. Then I rubbed my head against his chest. "I've never played such a game with other men. You're the first one." I didn't lie about that, but I have to admit that I had once been with Ethan. "Sorry. I heard that some men were very concerned about their partner's virginity. I thought Adrian was one of them." However, he just tucked my hair behind my ear and smiled gently. "It's no big deal. You have the right to please yourself and there's nothing wrong with that." I opened my mouth in surprise and suddenly felt a little moved. Tears streamed down my face. His words seemed to bring changes to everything around me. I recommended myself to Adrian and became his mistress. After hearing about that, Diane drove me back to the company. She just tutted all the way and turned to glance at me from time to time. But every time I looked back at her, she looked away immediately. "Just say whatever you want," I said. "I didn't expect you to make such a crazy choice, Rosalind." I knew what she meant. When I was with Ethan, I wasn't afraid of having it exposed to the public. But now I had to keep my relationship with Adrian a secret forever. "What? Are you saying that I'm a shameless bitch?" Diane just sighed deeply and said, "Just look what Ethan did to you. I'm worried that Adrian, the heir of the Chandler family, will do worse than his nephew. I have no choice." Diane, no one would want to disgrace herself if they had a better solution. I felt that I had to tell Diane what happened between me, Jennifer, and Ethan. After hearing this, Diane was astonished. She didn't come to her senses until the driver behind us honked the horn. Diane was pissed off. A bunch of holes. How dare they bully you like that? Those are not what teenagers should do. I started dancing when I was 6 years old, and I was admitted to a top dance academy with the highest score. My teacher once said, "You'll be the greatest dancer in our country, Rosalind." However, to everyone's surprise, an accident occurred at the stage at the end of my junior year and I tore the muscle in my left foot and broke my Achilles tendon. I couldn't even stand up. After I came around, the first thing I did was to ask the doctor, "Can I still dance?" The doctor just answered indifferently, "I don't even know if you can stand up again, let alone dance." I was desperate. I thought that I might have to give up dancing for the rest of my life. Nothing could be worse than that. But just when I was in great pain, Jennifer came to the hospital and said, "This is just a small lesson for you, Rosalind. If you mess with me again, I'll end you." A small lesson? How dare she call this a small lesson? However, I was such a coward at that time that I didn't know how to fight back. So, I did nothing but take it. I just wanted to hide away from her, and I thought that was the end of the story. But things didn't go as I hoped. A few months ago, I accidentally found out that Ethan was Jennifer's stepbrother and he was only with me to avenge her. Only then did I finally understand. It was no use running away from her. This woman wouldn't let me go. Having realized that, I stopped hiding. Weren't she and Ethan trying to destroy me? They could bring it on then. Since I was with Adrian, the company would give me the best job offers even without him stepping in. Only 3 months after I was hated by everyone on the internet, I had a new movie coming up. The leading actor was a young man with a particularly large fan base. He made his debut at a very young age. The internet exploded again because of me. Many rational fans rushed to my channel and said that they didn't want the actor to work with me. What the hell was Daniel's agent thinking? Why did they get him this movie? Rosalind's secret marriage had just been exposed and there was evidence all over the internet of her hooking up with different men. Working with her will ruin Daniel's career. I warn you, Rosalind, stay away from Daniel. You're not qualified to work with him. Didn't they even ask about the leading actress before they signed the contract? I hope Daniel's crew reflects on their decision quickly or they can just fuck off. Diane told me, "Ethan is manipulating the public view again after you come back full of energy." In less than 10 minutes, the T accounts gathered together and posted similar posts. It's said that Daniel will do his first on-screen kiss with Rosalind. It's also said that he was reluctant to act in the film at the very beginning, but he couldn't fight against the powerful investors. The fans became furious. Who is Rosalind's sponsor anyway? Hasn't she been dumped by the son of the Chandler family? I can't stand that this vicious woman is going to drag Daniel down. We can't let her win. Guys, we should unite and make our voices louder. The investors need to know that the audience needs a good actress, not someone's mistress. Diane was enraged by these comments. Obviously, it's all Ethan's doing, and we can't fight against him as a small company. Rosalind, how about telling Mr. Chandler about this? For some reason, I was afraid that Adrian would see the news, so I'd rather handle it myself. No, Diane, I know what to do. If the fans weren't going to stop, I'd let them be. I browsed the trending topics on the internet and found that the top 5 ones were fake news about me. They were all tagged with hashtags, "the sponsor behind Rosalind," "Rosalind's back after her hidden marriage," and "Rosalind's financial backing." It looked like they were dying to bring me down. Since some fans' favorite actors and I didn't even work together, they just found me disgusting after reading the fake news. However, my competitors were worried that I'd make a big comeback with my influence, so they encouraged their fans to unite and attack me. Were they doing it for so-called justice? No, they were going to ruin my career and force me to leave this industry so that I wouldn't take their favorite actor's resources. I didn't have a sponsor behind me. They did. These people were pure evil. They knew very well what such kind of scandal could do to an actress. However, they still chose to play dirty to control public opinion, leaving me no choice but to quit the industry. Diane was so angry that she used her alt account to fight back. Go get a life, haters. Rosalind got the role because she did great in the audition. Use your brain and don't listen to those T accounts bullshit. Have you ever read the script?